The sun peeked over the small mud brick house where Mama Neko lived, filling the air with the cozy scent of herbs and firewood smoke. You could almost taste the warmth of the morning, right? In her arms, she cradled a tiny baby girl, fragile and quiet, wrapped in a faded cloth that once belonged to her mother. Amara had just been born a few months earlier, but her life had already been marked by loss. Her mother passed away shortly after childbirth, leaving this little one in the hands of a grandmother who was already carrying the weight of the world. Her father had died years before, leaving Mama Neka as the only protector and caregiver for the child. Though worn down by life, Mama Neka's spirit was unbreakable, like a sturdy tree weathering the fiercest storms. Holding Amara close, Mama Neka whispered softly, tears soaking her chest. "My little one, the world may have taken your parents, but I will never let it take you away from life. You are mine now, and I will fight for you with every beat of my heart." It was a promise filled with love and determination, a vow that echoed in the quiet of their little home. The baby cooed softly, her tiny fists curling and uncurling, blissfully unaware of the challenges that lay ahead. All she felt was warmth, safety, and love, the kind that would carry her through a lifetime of hardships. Can you imagine that kind of bond? It's beautiful, isn't it? Mama Neka had been a widow for many years, working tirelessly to provide for herself and now for her granddaughter. She sold firewood at the market, fetched water from a distant well, and did odd jobs for neighbors. Every coin she earned went toward food, medicine, and keeping Amara warm through chilly nights. Often, she skipped meals to ensure the baby had enough. The sacrifices she made were countless, but they were made with love, each one a brick in the foundation of Amara's future. "Hunger will not define you," she whispered one night, rocking Amara in her arms. "Poverty will not define you. Strength will. Love will." Those words, filled with hope and resilience, were the very essence of Mama Neka's spirit. They weren't just empty promises. They were lessons woven into the fabric of their lives. As days turned into weeks, the bond between Mama Neka and Amara only grew stronger. Amara learned early on that the world could be tough, but real, unselfish love could shield her from the worst of it. Mama Neka would sing old folk songs as she rocked Amara to sleep, her voice trembling yet strong. "Sleep, my child. One day, you will walk far, and nothing will hold you back. One day, the world will see your heart." Even as a tiny infant, Amara seemed to understand. She would snuggle against her grandmother's chest, listening to the steady rhythm of her heartbeat, feeling the love, sacrifice, and courage wrapped around her like a warm blanket. It's that kind of love that shapes a person, right? The village around them was harsh. Neighbors whispered about the little girl, claiming she wouldn't amount to much because she had no parents. Can you believe that? It's so easy to judge, isn't it? But Mama Neka refused to let that get to her. "They don't see your worth. But I do. I'll teach you everything I know, and one day, they'll see it too." Those words were like a shield, protecting Amara from the negativity that surrounded them. It was a promise of a brighter future, one that was built on love and resilience. And so, life began for Amara, a life shadowed by loss but illuminated by her grandmother's unwavering love. From day one, she learned the true meaning of family, sacrifice, and resilience, lessons that would shape every step of her extraordinary journey. The nights were long, and the days were tough, but Mama Neka and Amara had each other. In that small, humble home, surrounded by love and determination, the foundation of Amara's strength was quietly laid. As the days turned into months, Amara blossomed from a fragile infant into a curious, bright-eyed child. Mama Neka, though tired from life's burdens, never wavered in her devotion. Every morning, she'd wake before dawn, whip up a small pot of porridge, and gently rouse Amara. "Rise, my little son," she'd whisper. "The world is waiting for you to shine." That morning ritual was more than just a wake-up call. It was a gentle reminder that every day was a new opportunity, a chance to embrace the world with open arms. Amara would blink sleepily, yawning, but the warmth of her grandmother's embrace made her feel safe. Life was simple yet hard. Mama Neka couldn't afford toys, fancy clothes, or even proper shoes. But she gave Amara something money couldn't buy: love, guidance, and an unwavering belief in her potential. Evenings were their special time. After a long day of fetching water or selling firewood, Mama Neka would sit with Amara by the soft glow of a kerosene lamp. She'd share stories of courage, of women who rose above hardship, of people who never let poverty define them. Listen well, Amara, Mama Neka said one evening, tucking the child close. Your parents couldn't be here, but their blood flows in you. You have strength you don't even know about yet, and I'll teach you how to use it. Those stories weren't just tales. They were blueprints for resilience, lessons that would guide Amara through life's challenges. Amara listened with wide eyes. Even as a young child, she began to grasp what her grandmother meant. The world could be cruel, but resilience and love could take her further than fear ever could. It's like Mama Neka was planting seeds of strength in her heart, nurturing them with every story and every hug. School was another challenge. Eager to learn, she often walked barefoot, wore patched clothes, and had no money for books or supplies. Classmates whispered and laughed. Look at Amara. She always comes in the same dirty dress, one girl sneered. But Mama Neka's voice was always there, steady and encouraging. Ignore them, my child. You have something they don't, intelligence and heart. Keep studying, and one day, you'll shine brighter than all of them. Those words were like a warm embrace, wrapping around Amara when the world felt cold and unkind. They reminded her that her worth wasn't defined by what others thought, but by the strength within her. When teachers called her out for her torn shoes or lack of supplies, Mama Neka attended every meeting, standing up for her granddaughter. She's a bright child, Mama Neka insisted. She comes from hardship, but that doesn't make her any less worthy. Please, let her continue her studies. Her determination was fierce, a testament to the love she had for Amara. She fought for her granddaughter's future, believing wholeheartedly in her potential. At home, Amara helped in small ways, fetching water, sweeping the floor, preparing simple meals. She learned early that responsibility wasn't a punishment, but a skill that built strength and character. Every task you do well, Mama Neka said one evening, is a brick in the foundation of your future. One day, you'll look back and see that even the hardest chores made you stronger. Those words resonated deeply with Amara, instilling in her a sense of pride in every small accomplishment. Amara worked diligently, her small hands learning skill and care. She absorbed every lesson from her grandmother about perseverance, humility, and empathy. It's incredible how much wisdom can be found in everyday moments, right? Despite poverty and teasing, Amara's spirit grew. She laughed with her grandmother, ran barefoot in the fields, and dreamed of a brighter future. Life had been tough from the start, but Mama Neka's love and wisdom shielded her from despair. By the time Amara was ready to enter school, she was prepared, not just academically, but emotionally. She learned that even in the smallest home, with the least resources, love could make a child strong, confident, and ready to face the world. And so, under the watchful eyes of her grandmother, Amara's journey toward education and independence quietly began. Each day brought new challenges, but also new opportunities to learn and grow. As she stepped into the classroom for the first time, her heart raced with a mix of excitement and nerves. The walls were filled with bright colors, and the sound of laughter echoed around her. It was a world so different from her home, but she felt ready. With every lesson, she absorbed knowledge like a sponge. Math, science, language, each subject opened up new doors in her mind. And even when the other kids teased her about her clothes, she held her head high, reminding herself of her grandmother's words. Strength will, love will. Those words became her mantra, a shield against the negativity that sometimes felt overwhelming. She was more than just a girl from a small village. She was Amara, a force to be reckoned with. As the years went by, Amara blossomed into a young woman with dreams bigger than her circumstances. She wanted to be a teacher, to inspire other children just like her, to show them that they could rise above their challenges. Mama Neka watched with pride as her granddaughter flourished. Every late-night study session, every tear. Amara's first day of primary school was like stepping into a whirlwind of excitement and nerves. Can you imagine? She clutched the worn strap of her little bag, feeling those rough patches digging into her palms like a reminder of her journey. Her dress, stitched together from various fabrics, had a faint smell of soap and smoke, which made it feel even more special. As she scanned the classroom, her new classmates stood out. Kids in crisp, bright uniforms, shiny shoes, and perfectly combed hair. It felt like stepping into a whole new world. Then, just as she was trying to soak it all in, she heard a boy snicker as she walked in. "Look at her shoes. Are those even shoes?" he whispered loudly. And just like that, a group of kids burst into laughter. "Ouch, right?" A girl behind her giggled. "She looks like she came from the market." Amara's cheeks burned, and her stomach twisted in knots. All she wanted was to disappear into thin air. But deep down, a voice she recognized as Mama Neka's echoed in her mind, stopping the tears from spilling over. "Never let anyone make you feel small, my child. You're stronger than their words," her grandmother had always said, and those words became her shield. Finding her seat with her head held high, she tried to focus on the teacher. But the whispers, laughter, and sneers followed her like a shadow, making each day feel like a battle to keep her dignity intact. At home, Mama Neka noticed the shadows under Amara's eyes. She would pull Amara onto her lap, gently brushing the tangled hair from her face, a soothing gesture that always made Amara feel safe. "Did they tease you today?" Mama Neka asked softly, her voice full of concern. Amara nodded, tears welling up. "Yes, Grandma. They said I'm dirty, poor, and that I'll never be like them." Mama Neka held her tight, rocking her gently as if trying to cradle away the hurt. "Let them laugh, my child. Their words are small because their hearts are small. You, however, have something no amount of money can buy: intelligence, kindness, and courage. Focus on these, and one day, they'll look at you and regret every unkind word they said." Her grandmother's words wrapped around Amara like a warm blanket, giving her a sense of hope amidst the chaos. Despite her grandmother's encouraging words, the days often felt lonely. Recess was tough. Other kids avoided her or shoved her aside like she was invisible. With no toys to share or games to join, she would sit under the mango tree, reading the few pages she had memorized, pretending to be in a world where people were judged by their hearts, not their clothes. It was her escape, a little bubble of comfort where the outside world couldn't reach her. Yet, even in the toughest moments, Amara never gave up. She listened intently in class, copied notes from the blackboard, and tackled every assignment with determination. Sometimes, teachers praised her intelligence but frowned at her ragged appearance, which felt like a slap in the face. But Amara kept her chin up. She knew she was more than what she wore. Mama Neka became her fierce advocate. At PTA meetings, she stood up for Amara like a lioness protecting her cub. "Amara may not have the fanciest clothes or shoes, but she's brilliant. Don't let her poverty blind you to her potential." Her voice was strong and unwavering, a testament to the love and pride she had for her granddaughter. Some days, when Amara came home from school, she'd collapse in tears, the cruelty of her classmates cutting deep. But Mama Neka's arms were always there to catch her, a safe harbor in the storm. "Do you see, my child?" she whispered one evening, tucking Amara into bed. "Even in hardship, you're not alone. You have love, guidance, and strength. One day, you'll rise above all this." Those words were like a promise, a glimmer of light at the end of a long tunnel. As the years rolled on, Amara's determination only grew. The teasing never fully stopped, but she found ways to cope, ignoring the mean remarks, focusing on her studies, and finding comfort in reading, and her grandmother's words became her lifelines. It was like she built a fortress around her heart, strong enough to withstand the arrows of hurtful comments. She began to notice that some of the kids who mocked her weren't truly happy. Their cruelty often came from their own insecurities, and that realization gave her a quiet strength. She wouldn't stoop to anger or revenge. Instead, she let her success and dignity speak for themselves. It was empowering to know that their laughter didn't define her worth. At home, she helped Mama Neka with chores, sweeping, fetching water, and cooking small meals. What once felt like burdens became lessons in discipline and resilience. Amara learned early on that life isn't fair, but effort, courage, and love could make her stronger than her circumstances. Each chore was a step toward building her character, and she embraced it with grace. By the end of primary school, Amara had become a symbol of quiet perseverance. She was small and often overlooked, but her mind was sharp, her heart was pure, and her spirit was unbreakable. Every tear, every moment of patience, and every challenge laid the groundwork for the strong young woman she was destined to become. It was as if she was sculpting herself from the hardships, shaping her identity with every experience. Mama Neka often said at night, while tucking her in, "Never forget, Amara, you are made of courage. The world may try to push you down, but you're stronger than it. Hold on, my child. Your time will come." Those words were a mantra, a reminder that she was destined for greatness, even if it didn't feel that way right now. Through loneliness, teasing, and poverty, Amara walked her path with bravery. Primary school had tested her, shaped her, and prepared her for even bigger challenges ahead. Challenges she would face in secondary school and beyond. Secondary school was a whole new world, bigger, louder, and tougher than primary school. For Amara, it was both thrilling and daunting. She now wore slightly better clothes, still patched and modest, but enough to step onto the school grounds without feeling completely out of place. She was ready to take on whatever came her way, armed with the lessons of resilience her grandmother had instilled in her. And though the road ahead was uncertain, she knew one thing for sure: she wouldn't let anyone dim her light. The struggles of poverty didn't just fade away. They lingered like a shadow over Amara's life. Every day at school felt like a battlefield, where some classmates whispered nasty things about her bag, her shoes, and how quiet she was. It was tough, you know. She thinks she's clever. One girl snickered during morning assembly, her voice dripping with disdain. "She'll never be like us." Another chimed in, rolling her eyes so dramatically it was almost comical. Amara felt the sting of their words deep inside, like a sharp needle poking at her heart. Anger and sadness swirled within her, but she held on to her grandmother's wisdom. True strength isn't about fighting back. It's about pushing through, finding your way despite the noise around you. Her days were packed with lessons, chores, and endless studying. She often stayed late after school, borrowing books from the library, practicing math and grammar, and writing essays with whatever paper and pencil she could scrounge up. It wasn't glamorous, but it was her lifeline, her way of dreaming bigger than her circumstances. At home, Mama Neko welcomed her with warm meals, a gentle touch on her shoulder, and unwavering support that felt like a warm hug on a cold day. "Do you see, Amara?" Mama Neka said one evening as they sat by the dim kerosene lamp, the flickering light dancing on their faces. "Some people will mock you because they fear the strength you carry. But you, my child, have something even greater: intelligence, kindness, and determination. Let that guide you." Amara nodded, soaking in every word like a sponge. She often studied late into the night, her eyes straining under the dim light, but she felt a sense of purpose that kept her going. Despite her challenges, Amara's brilliance began to shine. Teachers noticed her sharp mind and dedication. Sometimes, they praised her in front of the class, which only led to more whispers from jealous classmates. "Why does the teacher always praise her?" One girl whispered bitterly, her face twisted in envy. "She doesn't deserve it." Another muttered, arms crossed defiantly. But Amara brushed them off like dust. She focused on her books, her growth, and the lessons Mama Neka instilled in her: patience, resilience, and humility. Not every day was tough, though. She found joy in small things, studying under the shade of the mango tree, laughing with the few kind friends she had, and walking home hand in hand with Mama Neka, sharing stories about school and life. Those moments were like little treasures that brightened her day. Still, the cruelty of some classmates left deep scars. They'd hide her books, trip her in the hallways, and make fun of her worn clothes. Some teachers sympathized but felt powerless against the bullying. Each act tested her, but it also strengthened her resolve. "I will not let their hatred define me," Amara whispered to herself one evening while brushing her hair, the soft bristles gliding through her tangled locks. "I will rise above, for Grandma, and for myself." Mama Neka, sensing the emotional weight her granddaughter carried, often reminded her, "You are more than their words, Amara. One day, people will respect and admire you, not for what you wear, but for who you are." By the time Amara finished secondary school, she had learned lessons no classroom could teach: courage in the face of cruelty, dignity in the face of shame, and resilience in the face of despair. Her intelligence and character shone through, even as poverty tried to dim her light. The day of her graduation arrived, and it felt surreal. She stood tall, wearing her patched uniform with pride, her heart pounding with excitement and nerves. Mama Neka wrapped her arms around her tightly, a comforting embrace that made everything feel right. See, my child, even with nothing, you have achieved something. You are ready for the world now. Tears filled Amara's eyes, a mix of relief, pride, and hope. She had survived loneliness, teasing, and poverty. She had faced life's harsh lessons and emerged stronger, like a flower blooming through concrete. Little did she know, her journey was just beginning. Soon, she would meet Chibike, a man whose kindness and support would change her life forever. After graduation, Amara found herself at a crossroads. She had knowledge, courage, and determination, but no money, no family beyond Mama Neka, and no clear path forward. The world outside school felt vast and intimidating, like standing at the edge of a cliff, unsure of how to take the leap. Mama Neka, ever wise, sat beside her one evening as they prepared a simple dinner, the aroma of spices filling the air. Amara, my child, school is over, but life is just starting. You need to find a way to earn, to help yourself and me. It won't be easy, but I believe in you. Amara nodded, swallowing a lump in her throat. The words were encouraging, but the fear was real. She knew how tough it would be to find work without money, connections, or status. It felt like climbing a mountain without gear. For weeks, she walked the streets, searching for job opportunities, holding her head high despite her worn clothes. She felt like a warrior on a quest, determined to find her place in the world. Then, one afternoon, she spotted a notice outside a well-known office. Assistants wanted. Apply within. Hardworking, honest, and diligent candidates preferred. Taking a deep breath, she stepped inside, her heart racing with a mix of hope and anxiety. That's when she met Chibike Okafor. He was young, impeccably dressed, and had a presence that commanded attention without being arrogant. His eyes were kind yet sharp, as if he could see right into people's hearts. It was intimidating, but there was something reassuring about him. Amara's nerves almost made her falter. She bowed respectfully and said softly, "Good afternoon, sir. My name is Amara. I came to apply for the position." Chibike smiled gently, and it felt like a warm ray of sunshine breaking through the clouds. "Good afternoon, Amara. Tell me about yourself. What can you do?" Amara hesitated but spoke sincerely, her voice steady. "I'm hardworking, patient, and eager to learn. I completed my secondary education, and I promise to give my best to any task you give me." Chibike nodded approvingly, his expression thoughtful. "I value honesty and dedication. You can start tomorrow. Welcome to the team." In that moment, everything changed. Amara felt a spark of hope ignite within her. She was finally taking a step toward a brighter future, one where she could use her intelligence and determination to create a life she had always dreamed of. As she left the office, the sun shone a little brighter, and the world felt a little less daunting. With Mama Neka's words echoing in her heart, Amara was ready to embrace whatever came next. Amara's heart raced as she stepped into her new job. It wasn't a big salary, but it was enough to get her started. More than that, it was a chance, a way out of poverty, a glimmer of hope in her otherwise challenging life. You know how it feels when you get that first paycheck? It's like a tiny victory, right? From day one, she dove in headfirst, organizing files, helping with tasks, and soaking in how the office ran. She was like a sponge, eager to learn and make a difference. Chibike, her boss, noticed her hard work, her humility, and the quiet determination shining through her modest appearance. He appreciated that she didn't just do the bare minimum. She went above and beyond. It's refreshing to see someone so dedicated, don't you think? At home, she used her earnings to buy little medicines for Mama Neka, making sure her grandmother stayed healthy. Every time she picked up a prescription, it felt like she was taking a step towards building a better life for both of them. Some days, the money barely stretched for meals, but knowing she was contributing filled her with joy. It's amazing how even the smallest acts can bring such a sense of purpose, right? One afternoon, as Amara was busy at her desk, Chibike caught a glimpse of her expression, tired, distracted, and worried. He could tell something was off, and he genuinely cared. "Amara, is everything all right?" he asked gently, his voice warm and inviting. Amara hesitated, feeling a lump in her throat. "It's my grandmother, sir. She's not feeling well, and I want to help her, but I don't know how." Chibik's expression softened. "Tell me what she needs. I'll see what I can do." His kindness was like a soothing balm, and for a moment, Amara felt a flicker of hope. Though she felt ashamed for needing help, Amara eventually opened up. She explained her grandmother's fragile health and the small, but essential medications she could barely afford. Chibike listened intently, nodding, a quiet resolve forming in his eyes. It's incredible how just having someone listen can make a world of difference, isn't it? Don't worry, Amara, he said finally, his voice steady. We'll make sure she gets what she needs. You've worked hard, and you care for your family. That matters. A wave of gratitude washed over Amara, mixed with confusion. She had never met someone so kind, so willing to help without expecting anything in return. It was a feeling she wasn't used to, and it made her heart swell with thankfulness. From that day forward, Chibike became more than just her boss. He was a mentor, a supporter, and, unbeknownst to both of them, someone who would soon play a significant role in her life in ways she could never have imagined. It's funny how life throws unexpected people into our paths, right? Mama Neka noticed the change too. When Amara returned home that evening, carrying small gifts for her grandmother, Mama Neka hugged her tightly. "Bless this man's heart," she whispered. "God sent him to us." Amara smiled, but deep down, she knew their journey was just beginning, that life would soon ask for more courage, more resilience, and a heart open to love she had never allowed herself to feel before. It's like they say, sometimes the hardest paths lead to the most beautiful destinations. Mama Neka falls gravely ill. For a few months, Amara did her best to support her grandmother. She bought small medications with her modest salary, cooked simple meals, and made sure Mama Neka got enough rest. But over time, subtle signs began to worry her. Her grandmother grew weaker, her steps slower, and her usual bright eyes dimmed with fatigue. It was heartbreaking to watch someone you love struggle, isn't it? One afternoon, as Amara returned from work, she found Mama Neka lying on the floor of their small living room. Her breathing was shallow, her face pale. Panic seized Amara's heart. "Grandma, wake up. Please, don't leave me." Tears streamed down Amara's face as she shook her grandmother gently. She screamed for help, and neighbors rushed in. Together, they managed to lift Mama Neka onto a mat and hurried to the hospital. It felt surreal, like a scene from a movie, but this was her life, and it was all too real. The doctor's words crushed Amara. "She's gravely ill. The treatment is complicated and expensive. The total cost is beyond what an average person can pay." Amara's heart sank. She had no savings, no family to turn to. Only Chibike, whom she had started trusting as a mentor and friend. Sitting by Mama Neka's bedside, holding her hand, praying silently, tears streamed down her face. "I can't lose her. I can't," she whispered, feeling utterly helpless. The next day at work, Chibike noticed a change in Amara. She was quiet, distracted, and pale, her usual cheerful smile nowhere to be found. Concerned, he called her into his office. "Amara, something's bothering you. Please, tell me," he urged gently, his tone filled with genuine concern. Amara hesitated, pride and embarrassment battling with desperation. Finally, she spoke, her voice trembling. "Sir, my grandmother, she's very sick. The hospital says the treatment is expensive. I don't have enough money. I don't know what to do." Chibike listened intently, his gaze steady and compassionate. He leaned forward and spoke quietly. "Amara, I can help. You don't need to worry about the bills. Focus on your grandmother's recovery. I'll take care of it." Shock and disbelief filled Amara's eyes. I, I don't know how I can ever repay you," she murmured, her heart racing with a mix of gratitude and disbelief. He shook his head gently. "You don't owe me anything. Just take care of your family. That's enough." For the first time in years, Amara felt a deep sense of relief. The weight that had pressed on her shoulders for months, the fear of losing her grandmother, lifted. Mama Neka received the treatment she needed, and her health slowly began to improve. Amara stayed by her side, making sure her grandmother ate well, rested, and took her medications. Yet beneath the gratitude filling her heart, something else quietly grew: admiration, deep respect, and feelings she could barely understand for Chibike. She noticed the little things he did, the way he checked in on her, the quiet patience he showed, and the genuine care he offered without asking for anything in return. These small gestures touched her heart in profound ways. "I've never met anyone like him," Amara thought, gazing at his face in her mind. "Why is he so kind? So gentle?" It was like a light had been switched on in her heart, illuminating feelings she had buried deep down. Maybe, just maybe, This was the beginning of something beautiful. As days turned into weeks, Mama Neka's health improved, and Amara found herself more hopeful than ever. She realized that life had a funny way of surprising you when you least expected it. With Chibik's support, she felt stronger, more resilient, and ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. And as she navigated this new chapter, she couldn't help but wonder where this journey would lead her next. Would she find the courage to open her heart? Would she embrace the love and kindness that had come her way? Only time would tell, but one thing was for sure. She was ready to find out. Mama Neka noticed her granddaughter's soft gaze whenever Chibik's name popped up, and she couldn't help but smile knowingly. It was like watching a flower bloom, slowly but beautifully. "Be grateful, my child," she said, her voice warm and gentle. "But remember, true gratitude isn't just about saying thank you. It's in your actions, your character, and the life you create." Amara nodded, her mind swirling with thoughts. She really wanted to repay Chibike and show her appreciation in every way possible. But as her feelings for him grew stronger, they became more complicated. Love was something she had never considered before, but now she couldn't ignore the warmth his kindness stirred in her heart. It was a mix of gratitude and something deeper, something that made her feel alive. The days at the hospital felt like they dragged on forever. Each tick of the clock felt heavy, yet Mama Neka was getting stronger, and Amara's heart, once crushed with worry, started to feel a cautious joy. But the question loomed like a cloud overhead. How could she ever repay someone who had given so much without asking for anything in return? The answer, she realized, would challenge her courage, her heart, and the very essence of who she was. It was like standing at the edge of a diving board, staring down at the water below, feeling both exhilarated and terrified. Gratitude and growing feelings. The hospital bills were taken care of, Mama Neka's health was improving, and Amara's heart, once burdened with worry, now carried a complicated mix of relief, gratitude, and something she could barely name. It was like a beautiful melody that played softly in the background of her life, but she couldn't quite catch the tune. Every day, she found herself thinking about Chibike, his kindness, his patience, and the gentle way he stepped in without making her feel embarrassed or indebted. He was the kind of person who made the world seem a little brighter, you know? She tried to focus on her work, but her mind kept wandering to thoughts of him. How can I ever repay him? She wondered, biting her lip. He has given so much, and I have nothing to give in return. That feeling of being in debt grew heavier with each passing day. It was like carrying a backpack full of rocks, each one representing her gratitude and admiration. Amara started dressing a bit nicer, smoothing her hair, making sure she looked presentable when she walked into the office. It wasn't about vanity. It was about respect and a desire to show Chibike that she cared, even in the smallest ways. She wanted him to see her not just as a grateful employee, but as someone who could be a friend, or maybe even more. One afternoon, after helping her grandmother rest and finishing up chores, Amara returned to work and stayed late, organizing files and tidying up the office. Chibike, noticing her dedication, lingered nearby. "Amara, you've been working hard. You can head home early today," he said kindly, his voice smooth like honey. Her throat tightened. She wanted to say more, to express how grateful she was, to show how deep her feelings ran, but the words just wouldn't come. Instead, she lowered her eyes and whispered, "Thank you, sir, for everything." Chibik's gaze softened. "You don't have to thank me. Just focus on your grandmother. That's enough." But Amara's mind was spinning. He had saved her grandmother's life, and she felt like she had nothing to give him in return. No money, no gifts, not even a simple gesture that could truly express how grateful she was. It felt like trying to catch smoke with her bare hands, impossible and frustrating. In the days that followed, she found herself doing little things, brewing extra coffee for him, organizing his papers, even staying a few minutes later to make sure everything was perfect. Every time he looked at her, she felt a warmth she couldn't quite understand, a pull that made her heart race. Why does he make me feel this way, she thought. I can't stop thinking about him. It was like he had cast a spell on her, and she was completely enchanted. One evening, while dropping off some documents for him, her hand brushed against his. The contact was brief, but her heart skipped a beat. Chibike looked at her a moment longer than usual, a faint smile tugging at his lips, before returning to his work. Amara's mind raced. She wanted to step closer, to offer herself as a sign of gratitude, but she hesitated. Her upbringing, her respect for him, and the boundaries between employee and employer held her back. I can't. I shouldn't, she whispered to herself, stepping back. But the thought lingered, like a song stuck in her head. Night after night, she dreamt of him, imagining ways to show her gratitude, ways that brushed against confessing feelings she had never allowed herself to feel. Mama Neka noticed the change in her granddaughter. Amara, she said gently one evening, your heart is restless. You care for him, don't you? Amara blushed and looked away, embarrassed. I don't know, Grandma. I just want to repay him for saving you. That's all. Mama Neka smiled knowingly. Sometimes, my child, gratitude and love are intertwined. You'll know the difference when the time comes. But never act out of fear or obligation. Let your heart guide you. Days went by, and Amara began experimenting subtly. A softer tone, a lingering glance, a careful brush of hair or sleeve. All small gestures of attention and admiration. Yet, every time, Chibike remained professional, kind, but always respectful. It was like a dance, one where she led with her heart, but he stayed firmly grounded in reality. One afternoon, she found herself unable to hide her feelings. She lingered near his office, heart pounding, trying to speak, but the words just wouldn't come. Instead, she gestured, stuttered, and looked at him with eyes that begged for understanding. Chibike noticed. He stepped closer, his voice calm and firm. Amara, I cannot. I will not cross that line. I respect you too much. Her cheeks burned with a mix of shame, frustration, and something deeper, longing. She nodded, tears threatening to spill, but she understood his stance. It was a bittersweet moment, one where she felt both crushed and relieved. That evening, walking home, she confided in Mama Neka, Grandma, I don't know what to do. I want to repay him, but he won't let me. He says it's wrong. Mama Neka held her close. Patience, my child. True hearts can't be rushed. Respect his boundaries. In time, life will show you what you can give and what he will give in return. And so, Amara's feelings grew quietly, deeply, yet she held back, honoring the man who had saved her grandmother and changed their lives. Gratitude and admiration blossomed into something more, something thrilling yet dangerous, but she learned to carry it silently, waiting for the right moment. As days turned into weeks, Amara found herself at a crossroads. Each moment spent with Chibike was both a blessing and a challenge. She wanted to express her feelings, but the fear of ruining their connection held her back. It was like standing on the edge of a cliff, staring into the abyss below, knowing that one step could change everything. One day, as she organized the office, she overheard Chibike talking to a colleague about his dreams and aspirations. His passion ignited something within her, and she felt a surge of courage. Maybe I can share my feelings without crossing any lines, she thought. Maybe I can show him my gratitude through my support and friendship. So, she began to engage him in conversations about his interests, asking questions, and genuinely listening. With each interaction, their bond deepened, and Amara felt a sense of hope blossoming within her. She realized that gratitude could be expressed in many ways, and maybe, just maybe, it could lead to something more beautiful. As the weeks passed, Amara's heart swelled with both gratitude and affection. She found joy in the little things, the way Chibike laughed, the way he cared for others, and the way he made her feel seen. It was a delicate balance, but she was willing to navigate it, one step at a time. In the quiet moments, she would often think back to Mama Neka's words, "Let your heart guide you." And with that thought, she took a deep breath, ready to embrace whatever came next, knowing that love and gratitude were two sides of the same coin, waiting for the right moment to shine. Weeks flew by after Mama Neka's recovery, and life started to find its groove again. Amara kept up with her office duties, working hard and quietly, but inside, her heart felt a bit restless. She often thought about Chibike, his kindness, his steady support, and how he seemed to get her without even saying a word. It was like he could read her thoughts, you know? That connection was something she hadn't expected, and it left her feeling a mix of gratitude and something deeper. One afternoon, while she was sorting through files, Chibike called her into his office. His warm smile greeted her like a ray of sunshine, breaking through a cloudy day. Amara, I've noticed how hard you've been working, especially after everything. You deserve a little treat. Tomorrow, I'd love for you and your grandma to join me." Curiosity and a hint of nervous excitement bubbled up inside her. She nodded, trying not to get her hopes up too high. A day out with Chibike? It felt like a dream, but she didn't want to jinx it by getting too carried away. The next day, Chibike showed up at her house in a shiny car, glimmering in the morning sun like something out of a movie. Mama Neka's eyes lit up in surprise and delight, and Amara could see the sparkle of joy in her grandma's expression. "Chibike, what's all this?" she asked, clearly astonished. "Just a small gesture of appreciation," he said with that charming smile of his. "You both deserve a day filled with comfort and happiness." The sincerity in his voice made Amara's heart flutter. It felt good to be seen and appreciated, especially after everything they had been through. Chibike handed Amara a carefully wrapped box. The moment she opened it, her breath caught in her throat. Inside was a stunning dress, shoes, and accessories, simple yet elegant, just perfect for her. There was even a little bag of goodies for Mama Neka. "For you, Grandma," Amara whispered, tears brimming in her eyes. "He's so kind." It was more than just gifts. It was a recognition of their struggles and a celebration of their bond. She quickly changed into the new dress, her heart racing with anticipation. When she stepped out of her room, Chibik's gaze softened. He looked at her as if he was seeing her for the first time, not the shy girl who had walked into his office months ago, but a young woman glowing with grace and quiet strength. "Amara, you look beautiful," he said, his voice almost trembling. Her cheeks flushed, and she lowered her eyes, her heart pounding. It was such a sweet moment, one that made her feel both shy and proud. The afternoon was filled with laughter, conversation, and those sweet moments of connection. Chibike took them to a cozy cafe, treating them to their favorite meals. He laughed heartily with Mama Neka and listened closely to Amara's thoughts and stories. As the day wound down, Chibike handed Mama Neka a small bouquet and a gift basket packed with essentials. "For everything you've done to raise Amara," he said softly. Mama Neka's eyes shimmered with tears. "You have a good heart, Chibike. God bless you," she whispered. Amara watched silently, her heart swelling with admiration and a warmth she could no longer ignore. She wanted to step closer to Chibike, to show just how grateful she was, but she remembered the boundaries he had set. "He cares, but he won't cross the line. I have to respect that," she thought, even though her heart ached. In the days that followed, those small gestures became part of their routine. Chibike would notice when Amara looked worn out and insist she take breaks. He'd drop them off at home after work, surprise Mama Neka with gifts, and even suggest little improvements for their cozy apartment. Each act, no matter how small, deepened their bond. Amara found herself eagerly looking forward to these moments, feeling emotions she'd never felt before. Gratitude blossomed into something richer: admiration, affection, and a longing that made her heart race. It was like she was discovering a new part of herself, one that craved connection and intimacy. One evening, after helping Mama Neka settle in for the night, Amara sat alone, reflecting. "I want to give him everything: my gratitude, my heart, but he's always so careful. He respects me. I can't cross his boundaries. Yet I can't ignore these feelings." The internal struggle felt overwhelming at times, like a storm brewing inside her. Mama Neka, noticing her granddaughter's thoughtful expression, smiled knowingly. "Amara, love grows quietly when respect and gratitude come together. Let it grow naturally. The right time will come." Those words resonated deeply with Amara, reminding her that love isn't something to rush. It's a journey that unfolds in its own time. As the days passed, Amara and Chibik's connection deepened. Through gifts, gestures, and shared moments, they began to understand one another on a deeper level. Yet, a delicate balance remained. Affection and admiration danced dangerously close to love, held back by respect, boundaries, and unspoken emotions. Amara's heart was caught in the middle, grateful for everything, longing for more, yet patient, learning that true feelings couldn't be rushed. It was a beautiful mess of emotions, a tangled web of hope and uncertainty. The stage was set, their bond was growing, their emotions intertwining, and the story of their love was just beginning to unfold, one thoughtful, meaningful gesture at a time. But not everything was sunshine and rainbows. Life in the office had become cozy, almost warm, for Amara. She had settled into her work routine, earning Chibik's quiet admiration and respect. But not everyone shared that view. Among the female staff, whispers began to swirl, fueled by envy. Some of the women couldn't understand the bond between Amara and Chibike. They would exchange glances filled with judgment, whispering about how Amara didn't deserve Chibik's attention. It was like they were trying to diminish her achievements and the connection she had built with him. Amara tried to brush it off, but it stung. She'd worked hard to earn her place. And here were these whispers, threatening to overshadow her accomplishments. It made her question herself, her worth, and whether she truly belonged in that space. But Chibike noticed. He always did. One day, after overhearing a particularly harsh comment, he pulled Amara aside. "Don't let them get to you. You're doing amazing work, and I see that. You have a light that shines, and it's important to hold on to that," he said, his eyes earnest. Those words meant the world to Amara. They reminded her that while jealousy might exist, it didn't define her or her journey. She was determined to rise above it, focusing on the positive and nurturing the bond she had with Chibike. As they navigated through the complexities of their lives, the connection they shared only grew stronger. It was a journey filled with ups and downs, laughter and tears, but through it all, Amara knew one thing for sure. She was ready to embrace whatever came next with Chibike by her side. "Why does he always praise her?" one colleague whispered, her voice dripping with disdain. You could almost feel the tension in the air, right? "She's just a maid-turned-assistant. Why does she get so much attention?" Another chimed in, rolling her eyes like it was a sport. It was like they were hawks, meticulously watching Amara and Chibik's every interaction. Every smile, every little gesture, they analyzed it all. It was almost comical how some of the guys noticed how hard Amara worked and how friendly she was, while the women just simmered with jealousy, letting it bubble up like poison. "She's too close to him," one of them whispered conspiratorially, leaning in as if sharing a juicy secret. "We've got to make sure she doesn't take advantage of his kindness." It was like they were plotting a heist, but instead of stealing jewels, they were trying to take down someone who was just trying to do her job. Their plan was sneaky and downright cruel. They started pinning minor mistakes on Amara, falsifying documents, and planting evidence of negligence like they were in some twisted drama. They thought if they could embarrass her in front of Chibike, it would knock her down a peg. They were confident that his attention made her vulnerable, but they didn't count on two things: Chibik's unwavering trust in Amara and the office CCTV cameras that were always watching. One afternoon, the conspirators confronted her with their accusations, and you could cut the tension with a knife. "Amara, how could you be so careless? Look at these files. This mistake is unforgivable," one of them hissed, waving the fake papers like they were a trophy. It was a scene straight out of a movie, and you could feel Amara's heart drop. She hadn't done anything wrong. Confused and scared, she tried to explain herself. I don't understand. I didn't do this. Please, you have to check the files again," she pleaded, her voice trembling. But the women laughed, convinced their plan was working. Just then, Chibike walked in, alerted by the commotion. His eyes scanned the scene, and then they fell on the papers. Calmly, he pointed to the CCTV monitor, and you could feel the air shift. "Let's see what really happened," he said, his tone steady. The footage played back, revealing the truth. The women had planted the errors themselves. Chibik's expression hardened, and you could almost hear a pin drop in the room. "Amara did nothing wrong. These accusations are false." His voice rang out, clear and authoritative. He turned to the conspirators, his voice sharp as a knife. "Your jealousy doesn't get to decide who works here. This behavior is unacceptable. Consider this your final warning." Amara felt a wave of relief wash over her, but shame and heartbreak lingered. She never expected such betrayal, and knowing that colleagues she had been friendly with could wish her harm left her shaken. It's a gut-wrenching feeling when the people you thought were on your side turn out to be anything but. That evening, unable to face the office, she stayed behind in Chibik's office. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered to herself, "I never thought people could despise me like this. I just wanted to do my best." It was heartbreaking, and you could feel her pain in every word. Chibike noticed her distress and sat beside her, gently taking her hand. "Amara, it's okay to feel hurt. You're human. But remember, your integrity and character are what matter. Don't let their cruelty steal your peace." His words were like a balm for her wounded spirit. She sobbed quietly, feeling the weight of the office's betrayal lift a little in his presence. I don't know how to face them again, sir, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Chibike squeezed her hand reassuringly, grounding her in that moment. You don't have to face them now. Focus on yourself. Tomorrow, we'll handle everything together. His calm demeanor was a stark contrast to the chaos she felt inside. After work, he insisted on driving her home. The quiet journey was comforting, and it felt like a safe space away from the office drama. Mama Neka, noticing the tears still glistening in Amara's eyes, wrapped her arms around her tightly when she got home. My child, you are strong. You've overcome hardship before. This is no different, she said softly, her voice a soothing melody. That evening, in the comfort of her grandmother's embrace and Chibik's quiet support, Amara began to heal. She realized that while betrayal existed, so did loyalty, love, and protection. Chibik's actions showed her that true kindness and trust were worth waiting for, even when the world felt harsh. In those moments, her admiration and feelings for him deepened. It wasn't just about the gifts or protection. It was about the man who saw her heart, respected her dignity, and stood up for her when others tried to bring her down. That kind of support is rare, and it made her heart swell with gratitude. The bonds between Amara, Mama Neka, and Chibike grew stronger that night, a silent promise that no envy, cruelty, or hardship could break the trust and care they had built. A few weeks passed since the office incident. Amara had avoided the office for several days, still shaken by her colleagues' jealousy and betrayal. But Chibike wouldn't let her isolate herself completely. He understood her pain and wanted her to feel safe, respected, and appreciated. One morning, he showed up at her door with a warm smile and a small bouquet of flowers. Amara, I know the last few weeks have been tough, but it's time to come back. You don't have to face them alone. I'll be with you, he said gently, his eyes full of sincerity. Her eyes filled with tears. The bouquet wasn't just a gift. It was a gesture of care, understanding, and protection. She nodded, feeling a flicker of hope igniting within her, and together they headed to the office. As they walked in, Amara felt a mix of anxiety and determination. Chibik's presence was like a shield, giving her the strength to face whatever came next. She knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but with Chibike by her side, she felt ready to reclaim her space and her peace. In the office, Chibike was a quiet force of support for Amara. He didn't just show up. He made his presence felt in small but meaningful ways. You know how sometimes it's the little things that matter the most. He made sure her tasks were assigned fairly, praised her work openly, and stood up for her when others tried to intimidate her. That kind of support? It's like a warm hug on a cold day. Outside of work, Chibike expressed his thoughtful affection in subtle, sweet ways that made Amara feel special. Picture this. Some evenings, he would drive Amara and her grandmother, Mama Neka, home, and he always brought along little gifts. It could be groceries, special treats, or even some cute decorations for their apartment. Those gestures were like little rays of sunshine in their busy lives. One evening, he really knocked it out of the park. He surprised Amara with a gorgeous dress, stylish shoes, and accessories that were elegant yet simple, just perfect for highlighting her natural beauty. And he didn't forget Mama Neka either. He brought her a cozy blanket and a basket filled with nutritious goodies. For your grandmother, Chibike said softly, a warm smile lighting up his face. She's raised an amazing young woman. Those words hit Amara right in the feels. She slipped into the new dress, and wow, she felt transformed, not just in how she looked, but in her confidence too. When she stepped out, Chibik's eyes softened as he took her in, and it was like the world around them faded away. Amara, you look absolutely breathtaking, he said quietly, almost to himself. Oh man, her cheeks flushed and her heart raced. It was a mix of gratitude, admiration, and something deeper stirring within her, something she hadn't felt before. It was like a spark igniting in her chest, and she couldn't help but wonder what this all meant. The evening flowed with quiet conversation, laughter, and shared stories that made time feel like it stood still. Chibike listened intently, his gaze often lingering on Amara with warmth and curiosity. He asked about her day, her thoughts, and her dreams, making her feel seen and heard in a way that was refreshing and new. As they walked together after dinner, Amara sensed a change in their interactions. There was a closeness that felt new, small touches, shared glances, and a silent understanding that went beyond words. He cares for me, More than I realized. Amara thought, feeling her heart stir. And I care for him too. It was like a beautiful realization washing over her, and she couldn't help but smile at the thought. Back at home, Mama Neko watched their interaction with a knowing smile, her eyes sparkling with wisdom. Amara, my child, she said softly, love sometimes grows quietly. Be patient and let it bloom naturally. Amara nodded, but her mind was racing. She wanted to show her gratitude, to repay him somehow, but she struggled to find the right way to express it. Chibike, always perceptive, seemed to sense her inner turmoil. He continued with his gentle gestures, small gifts, dropping them off after work, ensuring their comfort, and always respecting boundaries. Each action was a silent affirmation of care, leaving Amara's heart swelling with complex feelings, gratitude, admiration, affection, and a budding love she could barely grasp. That night, as she reflected on the day, Amara realized something important. Her life had changed in ways she never imagined. She had found not only security and support for her grandmother, but also a man whose kindness and integrity inspired her to grow and believe in the goodness of people. And though she couldn't yet name the feelings stirring inside her, she knew one thing for sure. Her heart had begun to open, and Chibike had become its quiet center. Amara slowly settled back into a rhythm at the office. The sting of betrayal from her jealous colleagues still lingered, but Chibik's support made it bearable. His small gestures, the gifts, the rides home, and his calm presence reassured her that she was safe and valued. It was like having a sturdy anchor in a stormy sea. Yet envy is a persistent shadow. Some female staff couldn't forgive her for the attention Chibike gave her. They whispered behind her back, plotted in hushed tones, and found subtle ways to undermine her confidence. It was exhausting, honestly. One morning, as Amara walked into the office, she felt the weight of their cold stares. Papers were shuffled, files were deliberately misplaced, and someone even tried to blame her for a clerical error she hadn't made. It was like walking through a minefield, and her heart raced with anxiety. Amara, we need to discuss this mistake. One of the jealous colleagues sneered, waving forged documents. Her heart sank, panic rising. But before she could protest, Chibike appeared, calm yet authoritative. Let's see what happened, he said, motioning toward the CCTV footage. The camera revealed the truth. Amara had done nothing wrong. The colleague's plan had failed, and she felt a wave of relief wash over her. But Chibik's gaze hardened as he addressed them. I trust Amara. You attempted to undermine her out of jealousy, and this behavior is unacceptable. Consider this your final warning. Wow, talk about a knight in shining armor. Amara felt immense relief, yet the encounter left scars. For several days, she couldn't bring herself to enter the office. She stayed quietly in Chibik's personal office, avoiding the staff she had once considered friendly. I never thought people could harbor so much hatred, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. Chibike noticed her withdrawal and gently sat beside her. Amara, it's okay to feel hurt. You're human. But never forget, your integrity and character are stronger than envy or malice. His words wrapped around her like a warm blanket, and she felt a little stronger. Her shoulders shook as she tried to steady herself. I don't understand why they would want to hurt me, she admitted, her voice shaky. He took her hand softly, and it felt like a lifeline. Because they see the qualities in you they wish they had. Strength, honesty, diligence, and kindness. Those make people uncomfortable when they lack them. Amara's tears continued, but this time they were mixed with gratitude. She realized how deeply Chibike cared for her, not just as an employee, but as a person deserving of respect and protection. It was a comforting thought, knowing she wasn't alone in this battle. That evening, Chibike insisted on driving Amara and Mama Neka home. On the way, he bought groceries, medicine, and small gifts for Mama Neka, ensuring that both grandmother and granddaughter felt safe and cherished. It was these little things that showed how much he cared, and Amara felt her heart swell with affection. Back at their apartment, Amara finally allowed herself to cry openly, the emotional strain of weeks of jealousy, betrayal, and fear finally releasing. Mama Neka wrapped her in a comforting embrace, whispering words of encouragement. My child, you are strong, braver than you realize, Mama Neka said, her voice soothing. Amara nodded through her tears, her heart full of conflicting emotions. relief, gratitude, and a growing affection for Chi-Bike that she struggled to contain. That night, as she lay in bed, Amara reflected, "He has protected me, loved me with respect, and never taken advantage of my feelings. How can I repay him? How can I show him the depth of my heart without overstepping?" It was a whirlwind of thoughts, and she felt a mix of excitement and fear. She realized that trust and love, though fragile, had begun to intertwine. Chi-Bike had proven himself reliable, kind, and honorable, and though her feelings had deepened, she knew patience and respect were the only way forward. It was like planting a seed and hoping for it to bloom, and she felt a flutter of hope in her chest. Days turned into weeks, and their bond continued to grow. Amara found herself looking forward to their time together, whether it was at work or during those quiet drives home. Each moment felt precious, and she cherished the way he made her feel, valued, respected, and cared for. Then came the day when they were working late on a project together. The office was quiet, and the atmosphere was cozy. Chi-Bike looked over at her, a soft smile playing on his lips. "You know, Amara, I've really enjoyed getting to know you. You bring a light into this office." His words made her heart skip a beat. "Really? I feel the same way about you," she replied, her cheeks warming. It was such a simple exchange, yet it felt monumental. They continued to work, but the air was charged with something unspoken, a tension that felt electric. As they wrapped up, Chi-Bike leaned back in his chair, looking thoughtful. "You know, I've been thinking, maybe we should go out sometime, just the two of us. What do you think?" Her heart raced. "I'd love that," she exclaimed, unable to hide her excitement. The moment felt like a turning point, and Amara knew that whatever was blossoming between them was something special. It was a new chapter, filled with possibilities, and she couldn't wait to see where it would lead. As she left the office that night, she felt lighter, her heart full of hope and anticipation. She knew that whatever challenges lay, the incident left a deep mark on Amara, like a pebble dropped into a still pond, sending ripples through her life. She realized that life isn't just a straight path. It's a wild mix of challenges, envy, and negativity. But you know what? It also holds beautiful things like loyalty, bravery, and kindness. And in Chi-Bike, she found a true ally, someone who saw her worth and stood by her, no matter how much drama or jealousy swirled around them. Her heart, once locked up tight, began to crack open, ready to explore the thrilling possibilities of love and partnership. Chibik's honesty and genuine nature made him someone she could trust and admire, and that was no small feat. Growing affection and quiet longing. After the betrayal at work and Chibik's unwavering support, Amara felt this warm, fuzzy feeling of safety and belonging. It was like coming home after a long day. But, oh boy, there was this unfamiliar weight in her heart, the growing affection she felt for her boss. It was both exciting and a little scary, right? Chibik's caring gestures became more noticeable, almost like he was turning up the volume on their connection. He kept driving her and Mama Neka home after work, and it wasn't just about the rides. He often surprised them with little gifts, a cozy blanket, a thoughtful book, or simple treats that turned their small apartment into a warm, welcoming home. Each gesture felt like a little sprinkle of joy in her life. He paid attention to her well-being in these subtle but meaningful ways. For instance, he noticed when she looked tired and urged her to take a break, almost like he could read her mind. He made sure she had healthy meals when work ran late, ensuring she didn't just grab whatever was easy. And he quietly adjusted her workload to keep her from feeling overwhelmed, like a gentle hand guiding her through the chaos. Amara felt the warmth of his attention, but it also sparked something she couldn't ignore. Her heart raced whenever he spoke to her, and her thoughts lingered on him long after he left the room. She tried to keep their professional boundaries in mind, but her longing grew stronger every day. One evening, after a particularly long day at work, Chi-Bike showed up with a surprise that made her heart skip a beat. "Amara, I thought you might like a little something," he said, handing her a neatly wrapped package, his eyes twinkling with excitement. Inside was a stunning dress, perfectly tailored to her style, along with matching shoes and a delicate necklace that sparkled just right. And wait for it, there was even a small gift for Mama Neka, a set of cozy pajamas and a basket filled with her favorite fruits. It was so thoughtful, it made Amara's heart swell with joy, gratitude, and a growing awareness of just how much she cared for him. Chi-Bike. "This is too much," she whispered, her voice trembling with a mix of surprise and happiness. He smiled softly, his gaze warm and sincere. "You deserve it, Amara. Both you and your grandmother. You've worked hard and cared for her. It's only right that you are comfortable and happy." That night, after changing into the new dress, Amara felt transformed. She looked at herself in the mirror and was struck by the elegance and grace she had never allowed herself to embrace before. It was like she was seeing a new version of herself, one that was ready to shine. When she stepped out to show Chi-Bike, he looked at her with a mix of admiration and quiet awe. "Amara, you look incredible," he said, his voice catching slightly, and she could feel her cheeks flush with warmth. Her pulse quickened, a delightful blend of excitement and fear swirling inside her. Excitement at the warmth in his gaze, and fear at the powerful emotions swelling within her. It was a whirlwind of feelings, and she was caught right in the middle of it. The evening passed with quiet conversation and laughter, each moment weaving them closer together. Chi-Bike spoke about his day, asked about hers, and listened intently to her thoughts. Each word, each glance deepened the silent connection between them, like a secret language only they understood. Amara's mind was a whirlwind of thoughts. She wanted to reach out and show Chi-Bike just how much he meant to her, but she was scared of crossing the boundaries he had set. "I want to repay him, to give him my heart, but I can't rush it. I need to be patient," she thought, trying to navigate the delicate balance between her feelings and the professional world they inhabited. Mama Neka, ever the wise grandmother, noticed her granddaughter's quiet happiness and smiled knowingly. "Amara, my dear, love takes its time. Let it grow naturally. Trust your heart, and he'll understand when the moment is right." In the days that followed, small yet meaningful gestures filled their interactions. Chi-Bike kept showing he cared. A cup of coffee waiting for her at her desk, a thoughtful compliment that made her day, or a shared laugh that felt like sunshine breaking through the clouds. Each little act was like a gentle hug to her heart, leaving Amara feeling emotions she could hardly hold back. Still, she stayed cautious, respecting his boundaries even as her feelings intensified. She found herself dreaming about a future she never thought possible, a life with Chi-Bike by her side, her grandmother safe and happy, and her world filled with love, gratitude, and respect. By the end of this chapter, the bond between Amara and Chi-Bike had deepened in ways that didn't need grand declarations. It was all in the little gestures, shared moments, and the quiet understanding of two hearts figuring out how to navigate the delicate dance of affection and trust. As the days grew warmer, so did the connection between Amara and Chi-Bike. Their exchanges shifted from mere professional pleasantries to something richer, with small, subtle moments carrying the weight of unspoken feelings. Amara couldn't help but watch him as he moved through the office, taking in the curve of his smile, the way his eyes softened when he spoke to her, and the gentle patience he showed everyone, even those who had tried to hurt her. Yet beneath this admiration, a more complicated emotion stirred, a desire to repay him for the life-changing kindness he had shown her and her grandmother. She longed to give herself, fully and devotedly, to express her gratitude and love. Each day felt like a new page in their story, filled with potential and promise. Amara knew that whatever happened next, she was ready to embrace it, one small moment at a time. One evening, after dropping Mama Neko off at home, Chi-Bike suggested they swing by a cozy cafe. He insisted it was just a casual dinner to celebrate their work progress and check in on Amara. It sounded innocent enough, right? But Amara couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more brewing beneath the surface. As they stepped into the cafe, Amara's heart started racing. The warm lighting wrapped around them like a soft blanket, and the gentle hum of soft music set a romantic vibe that made her cheeks flush. She tried to focus on their conversation, but her eyes kept drifting to his face. It was like he had this magnetic pull. She noticed the little things, how he made sure her chair was comfy, poured her water with such care, and how his gaze lingered just a heartbeat longer than usual. It made her stomach flutter in a way she hadn't expected. "He really cares for me, more than I thought," she mused, feeling her heart swell with a mix of joy and confusion. "I want him to know how I feel without crossing any lines." That was the tricky part, right? Navigating feelings without making things awkward. Amara tried to express herself subtly. She laughed a little too softly at his jokes, let her hand brush against his while passing a dish, and occasionally held his gaze a moment longer than necessary. Each gesture was charged with a quiet urgency, a desire to show gratitude and affection without saying a word. It was like a dance, each step carefully calculated, each glance a silent confession. Chibike noticed all of it. He was as perceptive as ever, catching the glimmer of longing in her eyes, the soft tremor in her voice, and the gentle tension in her posture. His own heart began to respond in ways he hadn't expected. Amara, she's not just grateful, she cares for me, he thought, warmth spreading in his chest. And I feel something more for her too. But he was careful, always respectful, keeping his distance to avoid any misunderstandings. He continued with small gestures, brushing a stray lock of hair from her face, offering his jacket when the evening air turned chilly, and listening intently to every word she spoke. Each little action was like a thread weaving them closer together, yet the unspoken feelings hung in the air like a heavy mist, thick and palpable. On her side, Amara wrestled with a growing conflict. She admired him, longed to show her gratitude, yet feared crossing that invisible line. I want to give him more than just my thanks. I want to give him my heart, but I can't, she whispered to herself, the weight of her feelings pressing down on her. He's my boss. He's honorable. I have to respect him. It was a struggle, balancing her feelings with the boundaries of their professional relationship. The evening wrapped up with a quiet drive home. Chibike dropped them at the apartment, handing Mama Neka a small gift, a beautifully embroidered shawl. For all the love and care she's given you, he said softly, and Amara's chest tightened with a mix of longing and admiration. His thoughtfulness made her heart race, but it also made her feel a bit helpless. She wanted to be more than just a grateful employee. That night, as she lay awake, Amara reflected, I love him. I care for him. I admire him. But I must wait. I must be patient. He's given me so much already. He's respected me. I can't rush this. I have to let love grow naturally. It was a silent promise, a hope that one day, when the time was right, she would give him everything, her gratitude, her devotion, and her heart, not out of obligation, but because her love had blossomed true and deep. Little did she know, Chibik's heart was on its own journey, his feelings for her growing each day, reflected in the small acts of care, the quiet glances, and the warmth that lingered whenever they were together. The stage was set. Their hearts were close, separated only by caution, respect, and the slow-burning tension that hinted at something extraordinary in the days ahead. Chapter 14. Blossoming Hearts. The days after that cozy cafe evening marked a new chapter in the delicate dance between Amara and Chibike. The air between them felt charged with subtle tension, their interactions laced with warmth that neither could ignore. It was like they were in this bubble, floating just above the ground, where everything felt heightened and magical. Chibike, ever observant, began to show his care more openly. He'd call Amara during the day to check in, send sweet messages of encouragement, and sometimes leave thoughtful gifts on her desk. A book she'd mentioned wanting to read, a box of her favorite chocolates, or a bouquet of fresh flowers. Each gift felt like a little piece of his heart, and every time she received one, her pulse quickened. Amara's gratitude deepened into something more, an affection she could no longer hide. She found herself blushing when he praised her work, lingering a moment longer when their hands brushed, and stealing glances at him when she thought he wasn't looking. It was like a secret language they were speaking, filled with unspoken words and emotions that danced between them. One evening, after a long day at the office, Chibike asked Amara to join him for a short drive. I thought we could take a little break. Just you, me, and some fresh air, he said, smiling warmly. His smile was infectious, and Amara felt her heart skip a beat. She nodded, heart thudding, aware that every moment with him now felt loaded with unspoken emotion. As they drove, Chibike talked about his day, then shifted to ask about her grandmother, her dreams, and her thoughts on life. Amara found herself opening up more than she ever had to anyone else. She laughed at his jokes, shared stories from her childhood, and for a moment, felt completely at ease. It was as if the world outside faded away, leaving just the two of them in their little bubble of connection. Chibik's eyes softened as he listened. Amara, you're remarkable, he said quietly. Your strength, kindness, and intelligence. I admire you more than words can say." Those words hit her like a gentle wave, washing over her and leaving her breathless. She wanted to tell him how much he meant to her, how deeply grateful she was for everything he had done, but words felt inadequate. Instead, she reached out subtly, brushing her hand against his, a fleeting gesture that spoke volumes. Chibik's gaze met hers, warm and open. "Amara," he whispered, voice low, "you don't have to say anything. I understand." Her heart soared at that acknowledgement, quiet yet powerful, sending waves of emotion through her. She realized her feelings were no longer hidden. They had blossomed openly, and Chibik's own feelings mirrored them. In that moment, everything shifted. The tension that had been building between them finally felt like it was ready to burst. Amara could see it in his eyes, a reflection of her own feelings, a promise of something deeper. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. But they both knew that the road ahead wouldn't be easy. There were still boundaries to navigate, professional lines to respect, and the fear of ruining what they had. Yet, the connection between them was undeniable, a spark that ignited their hearts and left them both yearning for more. As they drove through the quiet streets, the night air filled with the scent of blooming flowers, Amara couldn't help but feel that they were on the brink of something beautiful. She glanced at Chibike, his profile illuminated by the soft glow of the dashboard lights, and felt a rush of affection wash over her. Whatever happened next, she knew they were in this together, and that thought made her heart swell with hope. In the days that followed, their relationship continued to evolve. Each shared moment, each lingering glance, drew them closer. The tension between them became a comforting presence, a reminder of the feelings they were both grappling with. And while they took their time, letting love blossom at its own pace, Amara couldn't shake the feeling that something extraordinary was on the horizon, waiting just for them. The next few days were filled with shared moments that really brought Amara and Chibike closer together. You know how sometimes you just click with someone? That's exactly what happened here. Chibike made sure that both Amara and Mama Neka felt comfy in their new apartment. He was always bringing little comforts, like their favorite snacks or cozy blankets, without even being asked. It's those little things that really show you care, right? He invited Amara for walks in the nearby park and casual dinners that felt more like mini adventures. These were perfect chances for them to chat freely, share laughs, and just enjoy each other's company. Chibike was a great listener, always paying attention to what she had to say, laughing at her jokes, and sometimes just being there, allowing her to be herself without any pressure. It's such a relief to have someone who genuinely gets you, don't you think? As days turned into weeks, Amara started noticing a new side of herself. She felt confident, hopeful, and totally unafraid to embrace her feelings. That quiet longing she had felt before, it blossomed into something deeper, an affection that felt real and sincere. It was as if she was finally waking up to the possibilities of love and connection. One evening, as they strolled through a peaceful park after dinner, Amara let herself have a little silent confession in her heart. "I love him, not just for what he did for us, but for who he is. I can't keep it in anymore." Can you imagine that moment? The air was warm, the stars were twinkling, and her heart was racing with excitement and fear all at once. Chibike, catching the soft intensity in her eyes, smiled gently. It was one of those smiles that just melts your heart, you know? His own heart was quietly surrendering to her warmth and strength. "Amara," he said softly, "you're not alone in how you feel. I care for you deeply." Those words hung between them, gentle yet electrifying, like a spark that ignites something beautiful. Amara felt her heart swell with joy, relief, and a sense of belonging she had never known before. Their bond, once built on gratitude and respect, was now evolving into something much deeper, love that was mutual, sincere, and patient. As they headed home that night, both felt a quiet thrill. They were no longer just boss and employee, nor was Amara just a grateful girl. They were two hearts discovering each other, beginning to explore a love that had grown slowly, carefully, and beautifully, nourished by trust, kindness, and shared experiences. For the first time, Amara allowed herself to dream of a future with Chibike, one where her grandmother was cared for, her life was secure, and love was freely shared. Can you picture that? It's like a scene from a movie where everything finally falls into place, and you just know it's meant to be. In that shared vision, both hearts beat with a quiet certainty. They were ready for the next chapter of their lives together. The bond between Amara and Chibike had deepened into something undeniable. Each day, the little gestures of care, shared laughter, and quiet understanding strengthened the love that had been growing patiently. Yet, both knew that taking the next step would require courage and clarity. It's so easy to get caught up in the moment, but making a commitment is a whole different ballgame. One evening, Chibike showed up at their apartment with a small but elegant box in his hand. The moment he walked in, Amara could feel the air shift. It was like the calm before a storm. He called her to join him in the living room, where soft lighting and gentle music created a warm, intimate vibe. It felt special, almost magical, as if the universe was aligning for something big. Amara, he began, his voice calm yet charged with emotion. These past months have been a journey. I've watched you grow, overcome hardships, and care for your grandmother with unwavering love. And through it all, I've come to realize something important. His words hung in the air, thick with anticipation. Amara's heart raced. She felt the weight of the moment, the promise hanging in the air. I love you, Amara. More than I thought possible. I want us to share a life together, not just for the comforts of today, but for the future we can build together. Will you marry me? Tears welled in Amara's eyes, and it was like the floodgates opened. The weight of gratitude, love, and hope surged through her. Yes, yes, Chibike. I will, she whispered, her voice trembling with joy. He smiled, slipping the ring onto her finger, a symbol of commitment, respect, and enduring love. It was a beautiful moment, one that felt like it was lifted straight from a fairy tale. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of preparation, joy, and gratitude. Chibike made sure both Amara and Mama Neko were comfortable in their new apartment, now fully furnished and warm with life. He even opened a boutique for Amara, giving her the chance to hire staff, manage her own business, and keep learning. You've always been brilliant, Amara, he said gently. Now, you can shape your own path, pursue your education, and grow in every way you deserve. Amara, moved beyond words, watched as her grandmother's eyes sparkled with pride and happiness. Mama Neka, who had sacrificed so much to raise her, now saw her granddaughter stepping confidently into a life filled with love, security, and opportunity. It's incredible how far they had come, right? In her boutique, Amara flourished. She hired staff who respected her, managed the business diligently, and found joy in creating something of her own. Chibike continued to support her, asking for her advice on matters of the boutique, discussing ideas, and celebrating her achievements. Even though she wasn't in the office anymore, her influence and guidance were still respected and valued. It's like they were a team, working together to build something amazing. The day of the wedding arrived, and it felt like a scene straight out of a dream. Friends, family, and community members gathered, marveling at the young woman who had once struggled to have enough for school, now radiant and celebrated as she prepared to marry one of the wealthiest and most respected men in the city. Can you imagine the pride? Some old classmates who had once mocked her showed up, humbled and seeking forgiveness. Amara, ever gracious, welcomed them warmly, offering them work in her boutique, showing that her heart had grown as much as her fortunes. It's such a beautiful reminder that we can rise above our past and choose kindness, isn't it? The ceremony was beautiful, filled with laughter, tears, and heartfelt prayers. Mama Neka beamed with pride, her eyes glistening as she watched her granddaughter walk down the aisle with Chibike. My child, Mama Neka whispered, you have earned this happiness. Never forget the journey that brought you here. Amara smiled through her tears, squeezing her grandmother's hand. I won't, Grandma. I will honor everything you've done for me. Those words were a promise, a vow to always remember where she came from. After the wedding, Amara returned to school, pursuing her degree while continuing to run her boutique successfully. Her husband, Chibike, always included her in decisions and encouraged her growth. He was her biggest cheerleader, and it made all the difference. She excelled in her studies, eventually graduating as the best student in her class. Can you imagine the pride she felt? Giving a heartfelt speech acknowledging Chibike, Mama Neka, and all those who had supported her, she said, I stand here today because of love, guidance, and unwavering support. To my grandmother, Mama Neka, who shaped me with patience and care, to Chibike, who believed in me when I had nothing, and to all who stood by me, thank you. Her words resonated deeply, echoing the journey she had taken to get to this moment. With her graduation, thriving boutique, and loving marriage, Amara's life reflected the full circle of her journey, from hardship and struggle to love, success, and happiness. It's a beautiful reminder that with love and support, anything is possible. Together, Amara and Chibike, with Mama Neka by their side, embraced a life overflowing with joy, respect, and fulfillment. Their love, nurtured with care and patience, blossomed into a partnership that could weather any storm, shining brightly as a beautiful example of devotion, kindness, and triumph over life's challenges. Chapter 16: Dreams Fulfilled and a Joyous Future. The months after their wedding were a whirlwind of excitement, growth, and achievements. Amara was juggling her business and studies like a pro, fueled by the unwavering love and support from Chibike and Mama Neka. Every single day brought fresh lessons and challenges, reminding her that all that hard work was really paying off. Her boutique was thriving. Can you imagine the buzz in the air? Employees looked up to her as a fair and kind boss, and her influence in the business world was starting to really take off. She often turned to Chibike for advice on those big decisions, and his respect for her ideas only boosted her confidence. Together, they crafted a partnership that was a beautiful blend of love, trust, and shared ambition. It was like watching a garden grow, each bloom representing their dreams and aspirations. The highlight of this chapter came on her graduation day. Amara walked across that stage with her heart bursting with pride, gratitude, and hope. When her name echoed as the top graduating student, the applause was absolutely deafening. Can you picture it? She held her head high, knowing every hardship and struggle had led her to this incredible moment. It was a victory not just for her, but for everyone who had believed in her. Standing at the podium to deliver her valedictory speech, Amara spoke from the heart, and you could feel the emotion in the air. Today, I'm not just celebrating an academic achievement. I'm celebrating a journey filled with love, guidance, and unwavering support. To my grandmother, Mama Neka, who raised me with patience, taught me resilience, and showed me the true power of love, thank you. You are my rock, my guiding star. To my husband, Chibike, who saw my worth when I had nothing, who protected and encouraged me, and whose belief in me never wavered. Your love has been my anchor. You've always been there, cheering me on, and I can't express how much that means to me. And to everyone who believed in me, stood by me, and inspired me, you are all part of this success. This day proves the power of perseverance, kindness, and faith in the people who love us. We did this together. Tears sparkled in her eyes as she stepped down from the stage, where Chibike and Mama Neka waited with open arms. He wrapped her in a tight embrace, whispering words of pride and love that made her heart swell. Mama Neka, overflowing with joy, could hardly contain her happiness. My child, you've made all your struggles worthwhile. Look at you now, strong, accomplished, and radiant, Mama Neka said, pulling her into a warm hug that felt like home. Amara smiled, tears streaming down her cheeks as she glanced at Chibike. His warm gaze reflected pride, admiration, and deep love. Together, they stepped forward, ready to embrace the life they had built, a life of shared dreams, mutual respect, and unwavering devotion. In the months and years that followed, their journey continued to unfold beautifully. Amara kept growing her boutique, hiring staff who admired her leadership and shared her vision. She was always chasing further education and professional growth, driven by a desire to learn and improve. And through it all, Chibike was right there, encouraging her every step of the way. It was like having a personal cheerleader, and that support made all the difference. Chibike's business flourished too. He consistently sought Amara's advice, valuing her insights even though she wasn't formally in the office anymore. They had this incredible synergy, a dance of ideas and collaboration that made their professional lives richer and more fulfilling. It was inspiring to see how they lifted each other up, always striving for more together. Mama Neka enjoyed her golden years, comforted by the knowledge that her granddaughter was secure, happy, and loved. She often shared stories of her own struggles and triumphs, reminding Amara of the strength that runs in their family. Those stories were like a treasure trove of wisdom, and Amara cherished every moment spent listening to her grandmother's experiences. Together, Amara and Chi-Bike became a shining example of partnership, personal and professional, love and respect woven together. Their home buzzed with laughter, warmth, and joy, the kind that comes from overcoming adversity and nurturing love patiently and sincerely. It was a place where dreams were nurtured and hopes were shared, a sanctuary that reflected their journey. As Amara reflected on her journey, from the struggles of her childhood, the loss of her parents, the hardships of school, to the unwavering support and love from Chi-Bike and her grandmother, she realized every challenge had been a stepping stone to the extraordinary life she now lived. Each obstacle had shaped her, molded her into the strong woman she had become. I have everything I could have dreamed of, she thought, smiling at Chi-Bike, who held her hand gently. Love, success, family, and a future we will build together. And with that, Amara, Chi-Bike, and Mama Neka embraced a life filled with fulfillment, joy, and unwavering love. Their story transformed from hardship into one of triumph, devotion, and happiness, a life lived fully, generously, and beautifully ever after. It was more than just a happy ending. It was the beginning of countless adventures together, a testament to the power of love and resilience.